presenter will be Coach Bill Wilbanks. Coach Wilbanks taught Scoop for 42 years, serving as boys basketball assistant, head softball coach, and head tennis coach. Please welcome back to the Roundhouse, Coach Bill Wilbanks.
Thank you, Mike. I've coached most all sports. I'm the biggest fan of football. And watching Tennessee, Alabama, just before this started tonight, reminds me of a couple of buddies that went to the Tennessee, Alabama game 49 years ago. Now, only Bill Webb and I go back that far, but that's when Kenny Stabler was playing for Alabama, and they played in the rain, and Alabama kicked the field goal at the end to win the game, and a lot of folks to this day thought that field goal was wide. But anyway, they were coming home, they were Tennessee fans, they were coming home and consoling one another about the game. Person said, well, said, we played them real well. And I felt like we won the ball game over on the scoreboard. I thought that field goal was wide. And the second one said, yeah. But said, I don't get too bad to losing to Alabama. Because all they've got up there is just football players and prostitutes. And the person said, hey, wait a minute. Said, my wife is from Alabama. He said, really? What position did she play? But of all the sports and people that I've coached, I don't think I've enjoyed any more than the young man that we were presenting tonight. I'll be honest about it. Coaching tennis was a lazy man sport. I was coaching softball and basketball all at the same time. So really all I've done was just sketch you, write the name down. Guys, there's number one, not good. In tennis, your number one plays their number one. And it felt good to know when your number one is as far as our surrounding there, was the best player on the planet. And Chad spent 3 years, last 3 years of his high school career, was undefeated in the regular season. Now that usually changes when we get out to Memphis, we have to play Germantown, and they got all the tennis pros up there with them. But around in West Tennessee, he was the boss. And most of the coaches couldn't pronounce his name, so we'd have a meeting in Georgia, the Seas. And Coach Mott from Middleton, usually from Monterey, said, and she said, well, I guess Chad Hebert of McNairy Central will be number one. I say, Dars, that's A-Bear. A-T-B-E-R-T, that's spelled A-Bear. Everybody knows that. But he not only accomplished all of these things in high school, but he went on full scholarship to Lambert University and led his team to new heights, was academic All-American twice there, transferred over to Middle Tennessee State, had them in the Ohio Valley Conference for the first time. Come back to Lambert as a player coach. He coached men and women and players. And he lived there and went to Lafayette, Louisiana, was assistant coach. And they set new team records. From the head coach of Troy State University in Alabama. And I think the record like it there was like maybe 19-4, 19-5, 19-6 for 3 years. And also while at Troy, I think he was the National Coach of the Year. He's been a tennis pro. He's taught tennis in 3 different countries. He's taught at some of the most prestigious tennis academies around. I would tell you one of them, but I don't know whether to pronounce his name. He called it tennis, you know, we're going to talk about Dick. Well, let's look at my notes. Anyway, same academy that Chris Everett and a lot of the other famous tennis pros that got their training there. But not only did he accomplish all these things, but I'd say that Chad was probably the only 2 people who would rival him as a competitor would be Brian Brown and my wife. Chad would go on that court and tear your heart out to win. But when he come off that court, he was a perfect gentleman. And so, I'm just tickled to be associated with his life. He's been a big part of mine. And I'm going to turn this over to his doubles partner, who's also pretty good himself, Alan Campbell.
Alan Campbell was a member of the McNairy Central class of 1988. Alan was a 4-year letterman in tennis while at McNairy Central. He now lives in Ratliff, Kentucky, and serves as Director of Counseling at Lower Park High School, where he has served as Athletic Director. Please welcome back to McNairy Central, Alan Campbell.
So Talmadge, you're not the only transplant that's ever come from Kentucky. As a matter of fact, there's a very important football game tonight, and right now, Kentucky leads Mississippi State right now. Isn't that what you all knew is the important game today? It wasn't? I'm sorry. I thought that's pretty important myself. I'm here to speak on a very special man by the name of Chad Hebert. I met Chad in 1982 in Winchester, Kentucky. His father, Gene, and my father, Chuck, were members of Henco Incorporated. And at that time, they were in areas around the country. And it just so happened that Gene came in to visit my dad one day and brought Chad with him. And Chad, right in the middle of the conversation, and here it is, it's basketball country. And Chad goes, "Hey, you got a tennis racket?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Let's go out to your backyard and hit around the tennis ball." I said, "Okay, but we don't have a net. I don't have a brick wall or anything." He said, "We'll find a crack in your cement and that will count as a net, and that's how we'll play." And that started one of the most best relationships that I ever could have imagined. I moved here, as with Chad, in 1983 in 8th grade. Before that, Chad came from Nederland, Texas. He was born and raised in Nederland. Moved to Selmer with Henco his 8th grade year. He played and started at Nederland in both football, basketball, baseball, and tennis. At Selmer Junior High, he was often a favorite target of future quarterback at McNairy Central, Trevor Skipper. In baseball, he was a teammate of Kenny Walker. And finally, the 5'6" Bear looked around the gym one day and saw Rodney Amos, Mike Walker, and Glenn Davis all dunking in 8th grade. And he decided that his future was not to be the next Bud Webb. So he decided from then on that he was going to play tennis. And our school is very happy he did. As a freshman, Chad was our number 2 tennis player. He was behind a young man by the name of Claus Herline, who was, at that time, we had exchange students come in every year. Claus was from Sweden, and Chad was our number 2 player, and he and I were number 1 in doubles. Chad got beat that year in the semifinals, and it was the last time that Chad would not make the finals in the district in either singles or doubles. He and I went on that year to become the first freshman team to actually win the district. And at that time, guys, district was 16 teams. It was Jackson and Henry County, and we didn't have a region. We had a district, and then you went to state. So as a tennis team for the very first time in 1984, we won the district championship, and that's the first time that McNairy Central had ever done that. We went on as a doubles team to get beat by Germantown, Tennessee, which was about a 2,000 person school up in Memphis that hadn't consolidated into Houston High School yet. It was all the big Germantown, and they had the pros, and they played at Wimbledon and Memphis, and they were big time. Our sophomore year, Chad became the number 1 singles player, and we were again the number 1 doubles team. Chad that year, I remember it. We were here in the morning. We used to go to the district tournament in the morning. He came to school that morning as we were about ready to play the finals of our doubles team and the singles tournament, and Chad had a 102-degree temperature. Chad told me that day when we went to the tournament, because I figure, you know, you're a sophomore in high school, you're going to kind of play for yourself today. We're going to kind of forget about this doubles match. You're going to take the match off, and you're going to just play the singles title. Try your best that you can. And Chad came out on the court and said, listen, we got to do things a little bit differently today, but we're going for this doubles championship. So we won our second doubles championship that year, and he barely got beat in the singles final to not become a double champion. But wow, he gave all that he had in that doubles match, and then had nothing left to go in singles. Sweating on the court, barely could move, cramped up, just a gritty player. Our junior year it became very evident that Chad was, like Coach Wilbank said, the boss. He was the number 1 singles player in the region, in the district, number 1 player in West Tennessee, besides Memphis, and we were the number 1 doubles team. Chad won the district title that year in singles, and we won as a doubles team again for the 3rd time. Chad went on, and we went on to win again as a school for our 3rd straight year. Went on to Germantown High School again, because we were non-classed, and we exited then as well. Our 4th year became a little bit different. Our 4th year, finally, they said that you can no longer play singles and doubles in the same year. So we played doubles throughout the entire season together, even beating Corinth, Mississippi, who was their state champion. We beat a team out of Florence, Alabama that year, who ended up being their state champion. But once again, Chad won singles very easily. I bowed out in the semifinals that year, and Orrin Reedy and Tram Denny won the doubles championship. We won our 4th crown as the McNairy Central tennis champions again for 4 straight years. And we went on to play Union City in a sub-state, beat them, and then went on to face Germantown again, and then we bowed out. If we were non-classed, like so many other sports were then, I truly believe Chad Abear would have been a state champion. I also also want to thank Scott Abear tonight for nominating Chad and bringing me back here. It's been a long time. My parents left McNairy County when I was a junior in college at the University of Kentucky, and it's been great. Got to see old friends last night, and it's been an honor to be here speaking on Chad's behalf. I want to say that I've never met a player quite like Chad. What you were going to get on the tennis court was an athletic kid that would run down balls that you didn't think he could run down, especially on our old tennis courts out here, which was slicker than grass, if anybody remembers them. You were also getting a cerebral player. He thought out every single point, thought about it, and he could beat somebody with just his mind. Last, what you were getting was a technician. He could place the ball anywhere. And he was, at that time, Coach Will Banks would probably say, he was not only our best player, he was our coach. He was our assistant coach. He made sure that we did everything. He held practices, and you couldn't say no to Chad. Chad won over 100 matches in singles, which I believe is a record here. I think he lost 5 times in his high school career, which most of those were to Germantown High School. He and I also were 105-4 in doubles. So he's the only player that I know of that won over 100 matches as a singles player and as a doubles player. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Warren Reed to finish out. Thank you.
Hey, good job, Alan, and Coach Will Banks too. What I'd like to say is it's such an honor to be back here with friends and alumni, family. It's really, I've been gone for nearly 30 years, but it's just so good to be back. Just feel like a Bobcat again. It's great to get back and be back on the hill. So it's an honor to be here with you tonight and share a few minutes with you. Really been looking forward to this for quite a while. When Chad asked me to introduce him and to present him for this award, which is, it took a while for me to really grasp what it really meant and to get my brain around it too, and how big this is, and what an exceptional honor that he's achieved. Alan and Coach Will Banks talked a little bit about what Chad has accomplished, both when he was here, and Coach Will Banks touched on what he's done since he's graduated and gone on. Chad has taught a couple of very prestigious tennis academies, Nick Bollettieri's. He was up there for several stints, and then also down at John Newcomb's tennis ranch down in Texas, where he spent a year teaching and also working on his game, and he wanted to get better. And this was after he had been at Lambeth for a couple of years. He took off for a year and went to Texas and worked on his game. Went to MTSU, where he did help them win the OVC conference that year. So that was ring number 1. Definitely one more ring than I've got, that's for sure. And then after he played at MTSU for a year, he went back to Lambeth, and he was their first player coach, and he led them on to the conference championships. And after he finished and graduated there, and he went down into Louisiana and was a head tennis pro and director of tennis in a club in Lafayette, and he numerous awards at the state level, and he also was the head tennis coach for St. Thomas More High School there, and they won the state championship last year. So that was ring number 2 that he's got. So now he's moved on to Lake Charles, where he's the head director of tennis at a ranch there as well. But I think that kind of gets us to where we are now. But I don't think that this induction to the Hall of Fame, I don't think that's really, to me, really why we're here, with respect to Chad. I think it has two different facets while we're here. Two real facets. And the first facet is this. The first facet, I think, are his parents. You guys created an amazing person. You've shaped this guy into someone who's had tremendous influence on my life. Jean, Nancy, Mary Ethelyn, the impact that you have had on Chad has trickled down to me. And it's something that I'm going to carry the rest of my life. And I'm not only proud of Chad, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You guys have woven yourselves into the fabric of my life. And to me, that's why we're here. You had such an impact on my life growing up and growing forward. I have a lot of fond memories of times at the Abear house when they were there, sometimes when they weren't there. Those were some famous parties back then, boy. I tell you, they news of those things. Did they, Chris? You remember hearing about them? Those things travel to Jackson and back. But that's just the little stuff. Not so many parties at your place. When you weren't there, not so many. But we had a few at y'all's place. But I thank you and love you for what you've done for me, as well as Chad. The second facet of why I think we're here tonight is because of Chad, the man. Not of all the rings that he's won and all the matches that he won, all those accomplishments. But it's because of the character that Chad had.